The Holy Land. The area of the Middle East from the River Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea is often known as the Holy Land. Today, Israel and Palestine occupy most of this area. This area is considered important to Jews, Christians, and Muslims because this is where many important events for these religions happened and where important people, such as Jesus Christ, lived long ago. For thousands of years, there have been fights to control the Holy Land. Christians in Western Europe did not like that the holy city of Jerusalem, where Jesus had lived and died, was in the hands of the Muslims. Over 1,000 years ago, Western Europe was an important power. There was another powerful empire in Europe as well, the Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire of Southeast Europe and Turkey. Western Europe wanted to show its power, especially through the Christian Church. Pope Urban II. At the end of the 11th century in Europe, the head of the Catholic Church was Pope Urban II. At that time, the Byzantine Empire was attacked repeatedly by Muslim Turks. So the Byzantine Empire asked Pope Urban II for help. The Pope sent a message out to all European Christians asking them to help, and the response was favorable. Many Christians promised to help. The First Crusade, 1095 to 1099. Pope Urban wanted Christians to fight for the Holy Land, but did not want to pay them. He told the people who would fight, called Crusaders, that if they took control of the Holy Land, they would be fighting for God, so they would receive special benefits when they entered heaven. Many people liked this idea. It was easy to gather an army of soldiers ready to fight for the Holy Land. In many groups, the first Crusaders left Europe in August 1096. These Crusaders were Christians from all over Europe. They arrived in Constantinople, now modern-day Istanbul, and met with their allies in the Byzantine Empire. The Crusaders and Byzantines marched toward Jerusalem through Muslim-controlled territories. In 1099, they captured Jerusalem. Many Muslim and Jewish people were killed. The success of the Crusaders allowed them to create many permanent settlements throughout the Holy Land. In fact, they expanded their lands as far as modern-day Iraq. The Second Crusade, 1147 to 1149. The Muslims wanted to regain control of the Holy Land. In 1144, they were victorious at a place called Edessa. This victory would spark the Second Crusade. In 1148, King Conrad III of Germany and King Louis VII of France joined forces to attack the Muslims at the city of Damascus. The two kings did not, however, have much communication. It was easy for the Muslims to defeat the Crusaders. The Second Crusade was a failure for the Crusaders and a sign of things to come. The Muslims, facing a common enemy, were able to unite. At the time of the First Crusade, the Muslims were very divided. But by 1185, they were much more united under Saladin. In Jerusalem, however, the Europeans in control there were divided. The Muslims took control of the Kingdom of Jerusalem in 1187. The fall of Jerusalem to the Muslims caused a huge shock in Europe. The Third Crusade was imminent. The Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192. Europe's three greatest kings went to the Holy Land to fight Saladin. King Frederick I died on the way there, but King Philip II and King Richard I arrived safely. The Crusaders were successful at the Siege of Acre and the Battle of Arsuf. However, Saladin remained in control of Jerusalem. The Third Crusade was a failure for the Crusaders. The Fourth to Ninth Crusades, 1202 to 1272. Saladin died in 1193, and the Crusaders thought his successors would be easier to beat. Powerful Pope Innocent III called for a new crusade in 1198. The Crusaders gathered an army for a fourth crusade. But instead of attacking the Muslims, they ended up taking control of Constantinople. The Crusaders took the money, jewels, and gold they found in Constantinople and went home. The Fifth Crusade attacked Egypt but lost. The Sixth Crusade saw Jerusalem returned to the Christians through a treaty. The Seventh and Eighth Crusades, even though they are considered failures, did regain some of the Holy Land. The Ninth and last Crusade saw the defeat of the Europeans in the remaining Crusader states. This ended the Crusaders' control of the area. Crusades in Europe. In the 13th century, there were several crusades, not to capture Jerusalem and the Holy Land, but to fight those who were not Christian, especially those in Europe. There were crusades to remove the Muslims from Spain and to remove non-Christian believers from parts of Eastern Europe and France. There were many reasons why the Crusades failed. One of the main reasons was unity. After the First Crusade, the Crusaders were not united. While the Muslims became more united over time, the opposite was true for the Christians. Another reason was the route. The Crusaders did not have enough boats to sail to Syria. Instead, they had to march a long and tiring route. Lack of enthusiasm was also an issue. In the beginning, the Crusaders were fighting for God. Nothing could stop them. But after a while, the men lost their passion. The Holy City. The Holy Land today is still unsettled. Israel occupies the Holy City of Jerusalem and controls the coastal area while giving a little land to Palestine. However, the Palestinians and Israelis constantly struggle with each other for control in the area. Nowadays, the Jews, Muslims, and Christians can all pray in Jerusalem. The Temple Mount is considered one of the most important places in all three religions. For Muslims, it is where Muhammad rose up to heaven. For Christians, it is where Jesus walked. And for Jews, the mountain itself is sacred. The Holy Land today. The Holy Land has not seen real peace for a long time. The Crusades did a lot to cause tension between Christians and Muslims, and these tensions are still felt today. Peace will come in time, but the long history of wars and fighting have made a solution difficult to find. We can only hope the wait is nearing the end.